Hello, my name is Felicia L. Robinson Bond, and today I will be speaking with you in regards to in what ways did Bush policies depart from traditional conservatism. There have been many articles written about George W. Bush as it relates to him being a conservative. Although he has never claimed to be a conservative, Ronald Reagan was. The American A Concise History, 6th edition, states that in 1988, Bush ran a successful campaign to beat Reagan as president. George H.W. Bush did not spend his term fighting for the GOP. He more or less spent his entire term trying to create a mark of his own. In other words, he wanted to establish his own legacy. Bush made strides in advising conservative principles, in particular in respecting and spending and embraced his big government. He wanted to save the free market. He wanted to make a mark as it relates to spending. For example, affirmative action, which supported most of his policies that were not forced nor compromised, but supported by many. Several believe that Bush was not a great speaker, although he was likable. Several believe that he was not articulate. However, in views and in private, most people liked him. His views on foreign policy drove the Bush presidency. His military operations were conducted in Panama and the Persian Gulf, and the Berlin Wall fell down in 1989. And the Soviet Union dissolved 2 years into his term. During his presidency, Bush spent most of his term dealing with foreign affairs, which most presidents failed to do. He devoted his first initiative was to put together a team of advisors, including National Security Advisor Scott Croft, Secretary of State James Baker, Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney, and Chairman Joint Chiefs Staff Colin Powell, who was liked by many Americans. He did not rush to actions or new actions. He spent this time observing what was going on with the initiatives and policies that were already in place. He took time to listen to his advisors. He made a good choice to not change any policy that existed, which gave him time to learn the administrative policies. One example of Bush's conservatism and pragmatic approach to foreign affairs is in June 1989, the Chinese military suppressed pro-democracy movement in Beijing. What happened was a group of individuals who were protesting were bombed, shot, killed, and hurt during a protest. Several outcries came from the Senate and wanted our President Bush to respond. However, in light of his new administration, he took his time, he heard the outcries, and decided to send his administrative advisor, his secretary to China, to try to resolve the issue without creating mass destruction. As it relates to the Cold War, the United States has been involved in trying to stop the spread of communism in Latin America and has established contacts in the area. After reports became clear of the murders in December 1999, the Bush administration believed that they had justification to remove Noriega power on December 20th. Operation Just Cause was believed to be a success. Is Bush a conservative? Commentary, Volume 117, Number 2, February 2014, 19 through 26. Operation Just Cause. In 1989, the U.S. already had relations with the Soviet Union. As Vice President, he attended the December 1988 summit with President Ronald Reagan. Germany tore down the Berlin Wall, separating East and West Berlin in early November 1989. He did not want to be overly happy, nor did he want to jeopardize future dealings with the Soviets. He took his time and he responded, and at the end of the day, it worked out well for the U.S. The President-Gulf War occurred on August 2nd, 1990. Iraq invaded its neighboring Kuwait. Saddam Hussein, president of Iraq, held designs on Kuwait's land, wealth, and oil. Military buildup, and we had been watching them for an extended period of time. Saddam attacked a neighboring country, at which time Bush made the decision for our administration to move in on Kuwait. When we speak of the varying traditional conservatism, Ronald Reagan embodied the story of New Right's Republican conservatism. He was well known more for as a movie actor. In 1960, Reagan joined the Republican Party, began speaking in the Republican Party and conservative candidates. He believed that human rights were the very soul of our sense of nationhood. He established the Office of Human Rights in the State Department and withdrew economic military aid in the repressive regimes. For example, Argentina, Uruguay, Ethiopia. Although in a realist fashion, he still funded equally repressive U.S. allies such as the Philippines, South Africa, and Iran. Jimmy Carter is another example when you compare Bush. Jimmy Carter is a conservative Christian. He believed in the U.S. Ronald Reagan was a motivated president that stood by his political philosophy and thought that America was great. And he thought that the people were great, and he believed that families were great. In the end, Bush stood firm on his actions. Although not perfect, there is no harm in acknowledging what he accomplished during his presidency.